Hello? Meow. Okay. Final part, y'all. Let's go. Ooh, okay. Continue. Chapter 5. Boy, what is that? Oh, nah. When the night train finally stops at Gare Saint Jean and I go up to the platform to emerge into the gloom of Bordeaux at the turning of the year, I'm overwhelmed by an odd sense of relief. Perhaps it's what they call homesickness? Even if I've only been away from Bordeaux for a few days, it feels as though an age has passed since I began the adventure which took me to Paris and onward to the primeval lands of northern Scotland. Out of habit, I jump on a tram, then my steps take me to my apartment in the St. Pierre district. I forgot she was rock. It's only when I go through my bag and pull out a bunch of keys, which in no way resemble my usual house keys, that I realize that I probably don't live in the same place in this reality. And for that matter, perhaps I don't even live in Bordeaux at all. I check the time, it's past noon. My brother doesn't usually pick up at this time of day. When he's not lunching with customers, he tends to leave his telephone on his desk in his office. We have a brother? I tap in Marie's number as I walk towards a little bistro where I like to eat. She's both surprised and delighted to hear from me and assures that I can sleep at their place this evening. No problem at all. I eat a quick salad, followed by a double espresso to fight the fatigue from the night journey in the sleeper car before I head towards St. Michael. I consider passing by the apartment I share with you in case he still lives there in this reality before deciding that it would probably be much more productive to go straight to see Mark at the store. When I find myself before the storefront, I'm surprised to find not a record store, but a florist. I check several times that I have the right address, looking at the surroundings, then backing into the road to compare the position of the building with my memory. There's no possible doubt. In this reality, it would seem that Mark's store simply doesn't exist. I go inside and inquire. The young woman at the cash desk confirms that there is a record store here in the old days, but it's been 2 or 3 years since her boss took over the lease. However, she's unable to tell me of what became of the previous occupant, nor to give me his new address. Why would she even know that? With nothing to add, I leave, dazed and rather worried. Maybe my brother and my sister-in-law will be able to tell me more. Why are we just learning about this woman's brother? I send a short message to Marie to suggest that we meet in our usual brazier. She answers that it would be easier if I come straight over to their place at the end of the afternoon. I decide to go for a walk around town while I wait. When I ring the bell at their home, she had just arrived. Hello, Alice. What a nice surprise to get your message. It's been ages since we last saw you. I hug Marie and follow her into the living room. I take a peek into the crib without disturbing my little niece, who is fast asleep. Niece? Oh, yeah, I forgot about the... Wait, I do remember. Okay, I completely forgot about that man. I haven't seen him since, like, chapter 1. I told Robin you're here. He's delighted that you called us. He's stopping to pick up a few things on the way home from work, and we'll eat at home if that's okay with you. We both have a big day tomorrow. Yes, of course, it's all fine with me. I'm sorry to have let you know so late. Can I get you a drink? With pleasure. Marie makes a gin and tonic and opens a beer for herself. Then we sit down in the living room. She really likes that gin and tonic. So, how's London life? Are you still working in your record store? It requires a considerable effort to conceal my surprise at all that information that Marie had just landed on me about my new life. Oof. As I suggested, as I suspected, bro, I can't read. I no longer work in banking, and it would seem that I now live in London. Yes, it's all fine. Same old, same old. Marie laughs. Same old thing for you. As far as I can see, your life's so rock and roll that there's nothing old about it. What brings you to Bordeaux? This is to ask about you, but I need to approach it with finesse. I have no idea how to explain it to Marie that my memories of the past 3 years have got nothing to do with what's happening in this reality. Do you remember you? Marie's face suddenly clouds over. Of course I remember you. But I'm amazed that you want to talk to him. Talk about him. He's dead, huh? Yep. I know you were really hit by his death, but it's a subject you usually want to avoid. Okay, then that's probably what the skull means. 'Cause I got the skull a lot. All of a sudden, it's as if the world was collapsing around me. His death? Marie looks at me with concern. I struggle to keep my composure. You is dead in this reality? It must be because of the record, because of me. Not knowing what to do in the face of my reaction, Marie grips my hand with affection and reminds me of the circumstances of his death, while carefully avoiding my gaze. Yes, he was knocked down by a car about, 3 years ago? Ah, it was after that I must have moved to London. Are you sure you're alright? No, yes, sorry. It's just that it's all still very fresh, very vivid for me. Marie looks more and more concerned. I hope it's not that sect thing again. What the? You scared us pretty badly with that at the time. It took you months to accept that the accident was really an accident. I change the subject. Dang. Let's talk about something else. I shouldn't have brought it up. Really, I promise you don't need to worry about it. Are you sure? Absolutely. Honestly, I didn't mean to scare you. Maria looks vaguely relieved. But how about you? Tell me about your life in Bordeaux. How's life as a young mother? We chat for a while about this and that. Robin arrives, his arms full of shopping, just after Marie has poured us a second drink. He's thrilled to see me. From his point of view, it's been months since we last saw each other, a weekend at their place not long after their daughter was born. I offer to help him in the kitchen, but he insists that I keep Marie company. He shuts himself away in the kitchen whilst Marie and I continue gossiping. I try not to lose the thread of our conversation, but in a corner of my mind, I'm trying to join the dots about what happened to you. I think back to what we said last time I listened to the record. I guess in this reality, you didn't leave for Paris. And because he had stayed in Bordeaux, Eva or the other members of the Ion Caros were able to steal the record from him, and it cost him his life. Robin tells us that dinner is ready. I help Marie to set the table, then we eat the delicious risotto that Robin's prepared with a glass of white wine. I try to enjoy the moment, even if my thoughts are dragging me into the future and all its uncertainties. You is dead in this reality because of me. I realize that I can't accept this information, now while I have the possibility to find him again. Now while I have the possibility to put things right, to erase this reality, this fake world. No matter the cost of that success. I don't have any choice. I've taken my decision. I need the record, and I need to find a way to pry it out of Eva's hands. Arthur Pullman gave me the address of the lodge in Prague. The next day, first thing, I take a plane. Direction, Prague. It's already late when the bus from the airport drops me in Andal. The first flight I was able to find left in the early afternoon, with the time for check-in and all of its security checks. When you add an hour of travel by public transport to get to the center, the winter sun has almost set when I start walking down the long avenue along the side of Petron Park. Snowflakes begin to spin on the street on the right to enter the heart of Malastrana, the lesser town, which faces the old town across the river. The Lorenz Mansion is a great 19th century edifice with a classically inspired colonnaded facade. On the frontispiece, embossed in gold, Greek letters spell out the word that for all to see. I have two options. I could try the direct approach, ask to talk to Eva and try to convince her to let me listen to the record. Or I could try to get to the building and hope to find the record and a record player before the occupants detect my presence. In both cases, my chances of success look pretty slim. Probably discreetly. I decide to opt for stealth. I can't see myself getting what I want by pushing open the door and requesting it from Eva, especially since I have nothing to negotiate with in return. I linger on the sidewalk opposite in the cold, trying to figure out the best approach. Obviously, with the winter weather, none of the ground floor windows will have been left open. I notice that there's a small door on the other side of the building, and that some solitary individuals seem to use it occasionally. Seizing my courage, I wait for a few moments after the last person has gone in before pushing open the door. It leads into a small entrance hall with a doorbell. I ring, then go into a second, long room with a counter on the right for a cloakroom. A man in a uniform suit greets me in English, tinged with a slight Czech accent, and asks me to leave my belongings with him. Are we in a club? This look fancy, bro. I hang over my bag and coat. In exchange, he holds out a numbered token and what seems to be a large piece of shiny black fabric, impeccably folded, with a plain white Columbina mask placed on top of it. This evening promises to be rather Kubrickian. As I suspected, the fabric turns out to be a large cape, which I slip on before donning the mask. Why? I don't know. This feels a little too extra for a cult. Like, the colored lights, oh, great. The next room is a large saloon, the walls hung with black and dressed with woodwork and moldings. About 30 people, dressed in what seem to be a ritual garments, are gathered in small groups holding glasses of champagne. Did they got hors d'oeuvres too? Like, most of them wear black capes, like the one I've been given, but I also noticed one person with a red cape and two others with purple capes and silver masks. Oh great, we got tiers. Probably to distinguish their ranks within the organization. There's one person who seems alone in a corner of the room. I could use her isolation to try and glean some information from her. I don't know. I don't know about that. If she's alone, she's probably important. I decide to stay in the background. I prefer not to take the risk of being discovered by getting into a conversation. I take a glass of champagne as a waiter passes me, then I slip away to a corner of the room, waiting to see what will happen next. I've got no idea where this record is being kept, but it would seem that I've happened upon the evening when it's presented, with great pomp, to lodge members, which gives me the perfect opportunity to try and get it back. I try to eavesdrop on the conversations around me. The group next to me are speaking in reasonably fluent English, and I think I can make out different accents, which leads me to believe that the lodge members have come from all over the world for this occasion. It would seem that Eva has called an extraordinary council, for some reason which my companions at the soiree aren't aware of. I'm immersed in listening discreetly when I feel a hand on my shoulder. I turn. A man, his costume now removed, looms over me. He speaks in a calm but firm voice, his English tinged by East European accent. Oh no, he found me, bro. If you'll follow me, Alice. Dang. Didn't even have a chance. Oops, my discreet approach has failed. I take a moment to weigh up my options. I've got no plan B. I don't think kicking up a fuss will help me here. The man appears to understand what's going through my head because he adds, "Don't be a fool, Alice." I let out a sigh. Fine. I allow him to escort me upstairs. As soon as we're out of sight of the other lodge members, he catches hold of my cape and pulls it off roughly. Dang. Your mask, please. Why is his name spelled like that? I obey. We take one corridor, then another before entering a large office. Do you see that? Do you see the way that man's name is spelled? Eva sits at the other side of the room, writing on a sheet of paper. The record is next to her, on the desk. She stops writing. Ah, thank you, Jacob. Why is his name spelled? I'm telling you, bruh, that's gotta be cultural. 'Cause ain't no way somebody mama just said, "Oh yeah, we gonna name him Jacob, but spell it like that." That's gotta be cultural, bro. I don't know what you hope to accomplish, Alice, but we spotted you while you were contemplating how to enter the building. Dang. So I really didn't have a chance. Stay quiet. All right. Okay, the flower is good. I stay quiet. Nothing to say in your defense? Very well, then. To be perfectly frank, I've been expecting your visit. You've given us quite a hard time, you and your friend. What was his name? You. Oh, so they don't know he's dead? I turn to look at Jacob, who stands behind me. He looks away. Yes, that's it. You. Tell me, Alice, how did you find out that the headquarters of the lodge were in Prague? We generally manage to be inconspicuous, but it would seem that nothing stops you. Grandma's not telling you? Ah, look, that's none of your business. I didn't come here to tell you about the schemes I've had to use to find you. Very well. In that case, let's get to the point. I don't know how familiar you are with the technicalities of our Brotherhood's mysteries, so I'm going to try and explain things simply and precisely to you. As you can imagine, I'm a very busy woman, and you haven't chosen the best day to grace us with your presence. It has been brought to my attention that one of our brothers, Jacob Novak, is responsible for the accident which cost your partner his life in the last emanation. I suppose that your presence here, as well as your renewed determination to steal the Koros from us, is very certainly linked to his tragic death. Is it not? I guess stay silent? I don't know. I choke back in answer, choosing to stay silent and let Eva reveal her intentions. She lets out a sigh. Very well. I can see right through you, Alice. You're as transparent as water. But after all, if you wish to stay silent, you'll save us both some time, so I thank you. I have a proposition for you, Alice. You're a resourceful young woman. You've managed to thwart our plans and escape us several times. You've already heard the Koros, which makes you, de facto, an honorary Grand Mistress in our organization. Join us. Nah. We'd be honored to count you as one of us. Wait. After all the enmity between us, after pursuing you for years, you're actually suggesting that I join your organization? To be honest, most of all, I'm thinking your capacity for causing trouble. Of course, if you accept, you'll have access to the Koros as much as other members who have reached the rank of master within the lodge. And if I refuse, probably kill you, then I'll ask Jacob to escort you to the door, and I'm afraid we shall just have to put up with your troublemaking capacities. I can feel Jacob becoming restless behind me. It would appear that Eva's attitude is making him uncomfortable. I take a minute to weigh up the pros and cons. Eva seems very sure of herself. She has the record and believes herself to be in control here. She doesn't appear to be aware of the danger she faces by letting me listen to the record again. With what Pullman told me, I could completely change the destiny of all the people in this room and give myself the best chance of you being once more alive. By doing that, I know there's a strong possibility that I'll find myself in a completely different reality from everything I'm familiar with, but that's a risk I'm willing to take. On the one hand, of course, I could pretend to accept. but I mustn't seem too enthusiastic about it if I don't want to alert her suspicion. On the other hand, I could also try to negotiate by promising to stop annoying them if she lets me listen to the record one last time. How long has this woman been thinking? And I think that in her desire to be generous, maybe she'll accept my proposition, even if it's just to clear her conscience and that of the lodge. Eva waits patiently for my answer. She's probably been waiting patiently for a long time. That was a lot of words. Because, I mean, I could try to be sneaky about it. And then if I refuse, am I ever going to see it again? Uh, hmm. Because, I mean, we're close to the end, though. So I'm guessing that, like, if I don't take it now, then I probably won't be able to get it again. I'm. No, fine. Let's accept. Very well, I accept your proposition. Really? That's wonderful. To avoid giving the impression of accepting too easily, I add, that doesn't mean to say I agree with your values. I just want to have access to the record. Of course, I understand. All I ask in return is that you are present for the annual council. I have every confidence that our members will be able to convince you of the interests of our brotherhood in the long term. Eva's reply doesn't surprise me in the least. In her arrogance, she is unable to conceive that Arthur and I could possibly know things about how the record works which she is unaware of. I pretend to reconsider the advantages and disadvantages before she say, "All right, I accept your terms." Eva holds out her hand across the desk. I shake it. I am so pleased we've been able to reach a mutual agreement. Why did she kind of look like Hillary Clinton from that angle? The Lodge has detested violence since it began, as perhaps you know. She looks like a... Oh, wow. She looks up at Jacob, who still stands behind me. I turn to him. Alice, I am truly, truly sorry for the accident which cost your friend his life. I sincerely hope that the Koros places you in an emanation in which you can find him again. What happened? What exactly happened? We thought he had the record. We confronted him to get it back. He tried to run. He was hit by a car. He was killed on the spot. It was more than 3 years ago, but I still think about it every day. Once again, I am so sorry for what happened. With the way your eyes look, I think you would be haunted. Let's hope the record gives him back to me. Jacob lowers his head in agreement, then returns to his place at the end of the room, near the door. Eva checks her watch. Right, it's almost time. I'm going to have to get ready to host the council. Jacob will accompany you to the prayer room. Given the somewhat strange circumstances of your presence here, you will hear the chorus at the very end of the ceremony. It's been 13 years since we had a new inductee into the Brotherhood. I hope that you'll be able to respect our rights. I'm counting on your sense of decency and on your discretion. A nod. Very well, thank you in advance. Mr. Novak, if you would accompany our guest to the prayer room. Eva picks up the record and her notes and leaves the room. Jacob and I follow her out. The prayer room is... Why are there... Okay, well, I can't get demonetized. I don't have enough subscribers or watch time for that. The prayer room is situated on the ground floor. It's a long rectangular room with a checkerboard marble floor. The room doesn't look as if it's been renovated in the last 20 years, which would lead one to compose that Ernst Lorenz had, in fact, brought a former Masonic temple at the moment the Iron Curtain fell, probably aiming to cover up the true allegiance of the Ion Karos Lodge, or rather its lack of allegiance. The assembly must number around 30 people gathered in two groups on either side of the room, leaving its central aisle free. After a few minutes of silence, mingled with some whispering around the room, Eva makes her entrance. Why? She walks with a measured step to the other side of the room, mounts the platform there, and addresses the assembly in a strong, clear voice. My very honored brothers and sisters, I must thank you for coming so numerous, and for some, so far in such a short time. I would have convoked you to this exceptional council if I didn't have excellent news. Since the death of our sovereign protector, Ernst Lorenz, we have moved heaven and earth to find it. Today it gives me great joy to tell you that the Koros has finally been returned to us. After the long crossing of the desert, the Ion Koros Lodge will finally be reborn. All of you here, the most loyal, who have kept faith in the Brotherhood and the teachings of my father, in the government as the second sovereign protector, all of you will be rewarded when your time comes by the knowledge of the Koros. She holds out a hand towards us. For the first ceremony in 13 years, we have two beneficiaries. Our brother Jacob, who joined the lodge a little over 10 years ago, and our brother Alexander, who represents the new blood of our organization. Both have been instrumental in the recuperation of the Koros, and the Grand Council has decided to reward them for their devotion to our cause. They will thus be the first to be liberated from the false world and to rise above the chaos of the multiple emanations of the physical reality. Jacob stands up, approaches Eva, genuflects, then goes to sit down on the throne. Eva places the record on the turntable while Jacob removes his cape and puts the headphones over his ear. Brother Jacob, are you ready to no longer be a slave of the false creator, to take yourself from the emanations? I said it right one time and I can never say it right again. Of the false word, and to receive false world, and to receive the light of knowledge. Yes, sovereign protector. Eva switches on the turntable. The room fills with sparkling reflections. When the needle of the turntable reaches the central groove, everything returns to normal. Jacob takes the headphones off from his ear. There is something subtly different about him. Perhaps his stubble is a little less closely shaved, or maybe it's the hair, which is slightly less peppered with gray, or maybe it's something in his posture. The assembly applauds as he rises and goes to sit on the left of the stage with the two people who wear the purple capes. The ritual repeats itself for my other neighbor, Alexander. Once again, the strange shimmering in the air, which stops when the record ends. It's Alexander's turn to go and sit on the left, next to the initiates, then Eva speaks. As in the custom, I will take my turn to hear the Koros. As sovereign protector of the Ion Koros Lodge, my role is to perpetuate our community and to make it grow. That is why I am going to make myself place the lodge in the most propitious available emanation, as the great masters present here will testify on my return. Eva sits, puts the headphones on, and starts the record. For the third time, the air begins to vibrate with glittering particles. This time, the room also seems to change. Heavy velvet drapes appear on the walls. The furniture becomes more opulent. When the record ends, the assembly applauds, and the room, which was half empty, is now full, suddenly holding a multitude of new caped initiates. For the first time, I am fully conscious of the danger the record represents, put in the wrong hands. If Eva is as ambitious as Arthur Pullman believes, the Ion Koros Lodge could quickly concentrate so much wealth and influence that she would become uncontrollable. She lays the headphones on the ground and begin on the table, and I notice that her hair has grown, intensifying her air and great pagan priestess. Before closing this council, I would like one last person to hear the Koros. We have among this evening the previous guardian of the record, who's lost someone dear to her heart in a previous emanation. When she arrived... Man, I remember when this game was just about getting a weird record from your ex. Shit, has hit the fan. Most definitely. When she arrived at the lodge door earlier, I asked her to join her ranks. She accepted my proposition. In order to make her investiture official, the Board of Masters and myself, sovereign protector of the Ion Koros Lodge, have decided that she will also hear the Koros this evening. Eva gestures me to approach. Alice, if you would take your place. I sit on the throne, place the headphones over my ear. Then I start the record. A guitar note pierces the air. Okay, before this starts, I just was Jean really worth it? Looking back at our oh so humble beginnings, was that man really worth it? Honestly, I think we should have just took the L a long time ago. I would have. A guitar note pierces the air, almost feedback. The eyes of the assembly are fixed on me. Absolutely not. Sparkling reflections emerge. I look at Eva one last time. She stares back, impassive. The light twists and knots. I turn my gaze inward, searching for you. Alright, y'all. Alice? You comes into the room as the record I'm listening to ends. I remember this moment. When I hadn't noticed, the first time I had lived this moment was the record that he has under his arm, a 7-inch with a white sleeve. I thought you were going out this evening. He walks over, bends down to my height, and plants a kiss on my lips. His hands tremble slightly. He seems shaken. Nah, bro, I'm getting to the point. Bro, you. I don't have much time and I have a lot to tell you. You backs off and looks at me concerned. What do you mean? What is it, Alice? I point at the record he has laid on the coffee table. Have you listened to it? Yes, I just bought it. It was part of a batch of psychedelic, a big collector on the bay. It was the weirdest experience I've ever had, but how do you know about the record? It's an acetate, probably unique. What I'm going to tell you is going to be hard to believe, but I'm going to ask you to trust me. You nods and replies without hesitation. Of course, Alice, tell me. No, be completely frank. I don't care if he dies, bro. You gotta know. I've come from the future, you. The record allows you to change your past when you listen to it. In this future, you're dead because of this record. Alice, you're scaring me. I'm very serious. My time here in this moment is limited. It's vital that I listen to the record before I get sent back to the present to avoid that future I come from happens again. I'm going to ask you to promise me just this one thing. When I finish listening to the record, you take it and you disappear. I disappear? Leave Bordeaux. Don't try to learn more about the record. Just keep it in a safe place, please. It's the only way you. I'm sorry. With a bit of luck, I'll still have the memory of the future after I listen to the record, in which case I'll tell you everything. But if I don't, I'm going to ask you to trust me. I take the record from the coffee table and put it in place on the turntable. I pick up the headphones and, before putting them over my ears, I glance at you one last time. I guess give him a sign of affection? I don't know. I lay down the headphones, go to you, and take them in my arms tight. Find me in 4 years. If I haven't been able to tell you everything before that, I'll explain everything then. He returns my embrace before kissing me passionately. I sit by the record player and prepare to put on the headphones. Alice, wait, please. You know you have all my love and trust, but do you realize what you're asking me? A sigh escapes me. I'd like to have the time to tell you more, to tell you everything. But my consciousness could leave this moment in our past at any minute, and if I haven't listened to the record before that, it would be a catastrophe. You watches me with bewilderment as I finish putting on the headphones. Unless it's sadness or simply affection. I hesitate for an instant before I put the tone arm, before I remind myself that I have no choice. I don't have the right to hesitate, nor to change my mind. I don't want to let Eva have the record. I want to make it as likely as possible that you will still be alive in my new present, even if that's at the expense of my reality. I don't know, man. I got that skull a good couple times of my identity. I take a deep breath, then, with renewed determination, I place the needle in the groove. Okay, the title. The music hits me and engulfs me like a wave of sound. In our living room of our little apartment gleams as though filled with underwater sunlight. The air vibrates with the sonic surf which submerges my consciousness. I'm carried away on the tide as the last rays of sunset vanish behind the Bordeaux rooftops. Oh dang, did I die? Dang, I guess I do die then. No. Okay, emanation. Probably something bad. I take this 2 steaming cups of coffee that John passes me over the counter, put down my change in payment, and I thank him with a shy smile as usual. I saunter back up the road toward yard sale records. The first rays of spring morning sun gently warm my skin. It's pleasant, after all those days of drizzle, fog, and downpours. 6 months. 6 months have passed since Prague. Life has carried on, at least another life. In this reality, I work for Yard Sale Records. I live in a little apartment in Camden, 15 minutes walk from the shop. Life in London is great, with a rich and varied music scene. I've become friends with Beth and Garrett. We often go to see the concerts together. And the job itself is pretty good. I make a living listening to music, talking about music, and telling the customers about the records that rock my world. I find it far more satisfying than studying loan files. When I reach a store, Garrett has just opened up. I put his coffee on the counter. Oh, thanks, Alice. You're welcome. Simon insisted on going to a club after the concert last night. This caffeine's going to be a lifesaver. I suppose Alan's not up yet? Garrett laughs. Alan, get up before 11 on a day when he's not doing the opening? Yeah, he's definitely a night owl. I suppose he spent another night doing the orders and the books. Oh, hey, actually, the postman passed earlier. There's some post for you. Oh, really? It's odd that it came here, not to my place. Garrett shrugs. I put everything upstairs on Alan's desk as usual. Oh, I'll go take a look. I'm kind of curious. I'm climbing the stairs to the first floor when my cell phone rings. I stop between the 2 floors to fish it out of my bottom at the bottom of my handbag. The number showing on the screen tells me it's a call from France. I pick up. Hello? Alice? It's Frank. Frank? That's a surprise. I try to imagine the last time we saw each other in this reality. Are you okay? Am I bothering you? I forgot who Frank was. Ugh. I tried to call you a couple of times last night, but I kept getting your voicemail. I continue my ascent to the store's upper level. No, you're not bothering me at all. Quite the opposite. You reminded me that I ought to check my messages more often. Haha, no problem. I get it. It's the same for me. I let childhood best friend. Oh, yeah. Okay, I remember now. It's the same for me. I let my voicemail fill up completely before I worry about it. Talking of which, have you changed your number? My phone didn't recognize you. No, I'm calling from the landline. The signal in Daphne's family house is pretty lousy. Oh, so you two got back together in the end? Even better, we're engaged. Congratulations. Thanks. Oh, so you guys got back. You see? It worked out anyway. I go over to Alan's desk. Today's mail has been placed in a pile, in plain view, in the middle of the desk. Hey, do you remember what you told me when we met up in Paris last fall? So, we saw each other in Paris in this reality too. Yes, I remember why. About your record, I think Daphne's found something which might interest you. On top of the pile of letters, there's a postcard with my name on it. Ancient ruins overlooking a turquoise sea. Captioned Mykonos. The thing is, it would be hard to do it by phone. I keep the card in my hand, but I force myself to pay attention to the conversation. Could you come and spend a few days with us? I'll have to check with Alan, but it should be possible to get away for a few days, yes. Anyway, it'll be great to see you. It's been an age since I last saw Daphne. Do you have a date that would suit you? It what suits you that matters. We can have you here at any time, with pleasure. It would be best if you find a flight from London to Lim. Call me when you got the tickets and arrival time. I'll come and pick you up at the airport. Okay, I'll call you as soon as I've got my ticket. Thanks so much for inviting me. It'll be great to spend some time together. I hope what Daphne's found out will be useful to you too. What do you mean what Daphne's found out? 1,000 questions cross my mind, but I tell myself it can wait until my visit. Give her a kiss for me. I certainly will. I hang up the phone and turn my attention to the postcard. On the back, I immediately recognize used disjointed handwriting. Okay, so he is alive. Alice. We said we'd see each other in 4 years. Do you remember? I'm in Mykonos. Can you meet it there? You. Beneath the signature, there's a phone number. I guess that's nothing left for me to do but pack my bags. Direction Greece with a stop in Limousine? Frank's van takes us along narrow, winding country roads. Limoges Airport airports already seemed to be the end of the world to me, but I realized I was off the mark as we plunged into the depths of the countryside. After leagues of dense, uninhabited woodland, we cross a little village and then take an even narrower road. Luckily, the traffic is pretty much non-existent, because I'm worried how we could actually squeeze past another car. Being a city girl at heart, loving the lights and the noise of the town, I wonder how long I'd last in a place as out of the way as this. Frank, however, has had a smile on his face since we climbed into his banger. I suppose he must like it here. Daphne too, probably. We leave the main road and drive through a wide gateway before starting up, a dirt road which seems to plummet into the entrails of the forest. Then, after a bend of the road, we emerge into a kind of clearing in which the house, or rather the castle, stands. A bulky medieval tower divides the front into two parts. Suddenly I understand the origins of Daphne's family name, Delator. Frank parks the van and we get out. Daphne waits for us on the doorstep. She's changed a lot since the last time we met. I guess I have too, but not from their point of view. In the reality, I'm the Alice they've always known. Frank had warned me about her accident and the walking stick, but not about her hair, prematurely white. I don't comment on it, of course. Daphne welcomes me with a radiant smile. Ellis, it's wonderful to see you. We hug. I guess say something affectionate? Okay, good. Flower. I'm really glad to see you. It's been such a long time. Daphne smiles. Yes, it has. A very long time. Too long. Frank and I weren't sure we'd be able to convince you to come so far from the big city. I laugh. I have to say, it's quite nice to see more than one tree at a time occasionally. Come on, Miss Borchin has made us some coffee. It's getting cold in the living room. Daphne limps away with her cane. Miss Borchin? Frank gives me a look that says, don't ask questions. We sit down in the reception room of the residence. Frank serves the coffee, which is waiting for us on the table in the living room. We spent a little time catching up with each other's lives. I admit I'm pretty curious about what's happened to Daphne since the last time we saw each other. Last year, she was working on her thesis in Paris, and now, less than a year later, her life has completely changed. She exudes a calmness, a serenity, which I find remarkable. And I have to admit that the long turquoise dress and the halo of long white hair suit her wonderfully. Frank too seems peaceful. I was about to say seems too peaceful. After all the trials that they've gone through in the last year, it warmed my heart to see them so happy. I'm especially glad that Frank managed not to sabotage everything, as I know he's perfectly capable of doing. Unless it's perhaps Daphne who should be applauded for her patience. After a while, an old woman comes to collect the empty coffee pot and cups. This is surely Miss Bortine, Daphne spoke of earlier. I take advantage of the interruption to get to the point of why I'm here. Frank told me that you have some information about my record. Yes, let's just say this house has yielded some of its secrets to us. Daphne turns to her fiancé. Can you pass me the scroll that I got out, please? The scroll? Dang. Frank gets up and fetches a scroll of parchment which rests on the mantelpiece. You know me, Alice. I'm not the superstitious type, but since I've lived in this village, I'll admit I have seen some things which have rather shaken my convictions. Daphne and I have had a very eventful winter, especially Daphne. When our lives have finally settled down, I remember the conversation we had, you and I, last fall when I was in Paris. Daphne did some research, and this is what she found. He holds out the parchment to Daphne, who signals me to come and sit next to her. She carefully unrolls it on the living room table. It's an incredibly well-conserved manuscript. It looks like it's written in Greek, judging by the alphabet anyway. In the middle of the scroll, there's a diagram of a sort of music box to which 2 amplification horns have been added. A little further down the manuscript, another image shows a person using the instrument, their head placed between the openings of the 2 horns like some kind of ancient acoustic headphones. Daphne allows me a few moments to recover from my astonishment before she speaks. This is a Greek manuscript, which dates back from the 1st or 2nd century. How did you get this? But how did you get a hold of such a treasure? Daphne lets out a sigh. Alice, I'm showing you this artifact, let's say, because I have complete trust in your discretion. Please don't ask me questions that I can't give you an answer to. Clearly this manuscript has enormous value, but I can't tell you more about where it comes from. Let's try and focus on what's inside, if you don't mind. So you know about this too? I nod. And ahem, do you know what it says? Yes, I began to translate it once I suspected that it could have something to do with your record. It's the account of a journey of a Coptic priest. It tells of a pilgrimage to the Greek islands in pursuit of a pre-Christian cult, who also belonged to the Gnostic current. For the Gnostics, the world that which we live in was a work of a false, malevolent creator who turned men away from the Sophia, the wisdom and the enlightenment of true God. For them, the world was what they called an emanation. So the cult's been around for a long time then. Daphne points at the diagram of the strange music box. The machine here allows the initiates to take themselves out of their state of subjugation to the false creator to commune with the Sophia. It recounts that some initiates could change the emanation by using this instrument, which, for them, constituted irrefutable proof of their doctrine. The writer himself was not authorized to use the machine, but he describes in detail the initiation of a group of devotees at which he was allowed to attend. Remind you of anything? Yes? That's the skull, man. Somebody finna die. Yes, it completely resonates with my experience of the record. That's what I thought. But tell me, Alice, do you still have the record in your possession? No, I lost it not long after I saw Frank last year. But I do have a lead to find it again. Do you remember you? The record store guy didn't leave to go work abroad a few years ago? He has a link with the record, too. It's complicated. He asked me to meet him in my Mykonos. I turned to Daphne. In your parchment, does the writer say exactly where his journey took him? Daphne examines the scroll for a while before pointing to a line. There, I thought the place had been described, but honestly it had slipped my mind. I look at the strange group of letters that Daphne's pointing at. It doesn't help me much. Daphne realizes this and adds, it refers to the island of Mykonos, in fact. Oh, great. It all seems to correspond. Yes, it definitely looks like more of a coincidence. But Alice, what do you plan to do if you find the record? Honestly, I don't know yet. Well, I still need to think about it, and I think that mostly I need to see you again, to talk to him. I hope our meeting will help me see things more clearly. Anyway, what I'm sure of at the moment is that I'm spending my next 2 days with you, and I intend to fully enjoy them. Daphne smiles at me. I understand. She rolls up the parchment. Let's talk about something less serious and more cheerful. Come on, I'll take you around the house and show you your room. I smile back at her. With pleasure. My weekend in the country bodes very well indeed. Oh, the epilogue. Okay. The lane that climbs up towards the village is steep. The bus dropped me at the bottom, at the junction with the main road. The glaring light of the June sun casts the terrain of the island into stark relief, and that last few hundred yards left me to traverse seem almost monumental to my eyes. I stop for a while in the shade of an olive tree. The white plastered houses are sharply etched along against the ultramarine of the Greek sky. The quiet is absolute, punctuated only by the cry of seagulls and the buzzing of insects. I start to climb again. The main street leads to a shady little square. On the northern side, a cafe with an awning. I go over. Hey, there's you. And there's a cat. On the left, a group of old men sitting around a table, playing cards, cigarettes hanging from the corner of their mouths. Mr. Blue Sky, does he just have like the same shirt with different writing on it, like every time? On the right, a young woman drinks her coffee as she reads the local paper. Further away, at the back, Yu watches me arrive. I walk over to him, trying to control the galloping of my heart. I'm not sure how I should behave, how I should greet him after all this time. I don't know. I bend down and kiss him on the cheek. He seems a little startled, but says nothing. Did he expect more affection? Did he expect more reserve? I can't tell. I need closure with this you. This man who I used to know like the back of my hand, and I need to face the fact that we have become different people. Not knowing what to say, I smile shyly. He smiles back at me, and relenting, he breaks the silence. Alice. Then it's my turn to acknowledge him, to affirm that I know who he is, as he's done for me. You. Thank you for coming. He raises his hand to attract the attention of the waiter near our table. A few minutes later, they bring us a bottle of raki and a carafe of ice water. Yu takes a mouthful and lets out a long sigh. I don't know where to begin. I've dreamt of this moment for so long, when we'd finally find each other after all of our wanderings. And now, when you're finally here, right there in front of me, I can't find the words. Sympathize. I understand. After all these years, it's difficult for me too. Yu laughs. Tell me, Alice, what's your life like? You seem different, and yet I also get the sense of finding you again. I don't know if what I'm saying makes the least bit of sense. So tell me, are you happy in this reality? Honestly, I seem to be doing fairly well. I think it over before I reply. Yes, I think I'm happy. In any case, happier than I was. I promise you I did everything I could to spare you. I sacrificed our relationship so that you could be free of the record, but in the end, it didn't work. What do you mean you sacrificed our relationship? Yu takes a deep breath. In the original reality, we were together. We were happy. You were in a band and you helped Mark and me in the store when you could. I'm gonna continue. Let him speak. Dang. I tense up as I realize what you is telling me. Somewhere deep down I had already suspected this. I decided not to interrupt, to let him go on. That damned record came into our lives and turned everything upside down. We wanted to understand what it was, where it came from. We followed up the leads together. First Paris, then the commune in Bavaria. We were in London when it happened. We were preparing to go up to Boleskine to meet Arthur Pullman. That's where the Aeon Karos Lodge caught up with us. I was scared. I wanted to protect you. I went back into the past and I changed reality. I put you somewhere safe in a world where you'd never heard of the record. I mean, thanks, bro. You tried. I get it, you. The record, it corrupts everything it touches. I could easily have made the same decisions as you. I know, Alice. It was a mistake. Madness. I realized straight after I'd done it. I hated myself. I wished I hadn't done it. The lodge was still after me. It had changed nothing. What happened after that? I abandoned the idea of going up to Boleskine. I thought the lodge knew that was our next destination, and I was almost sure that I would be intercepted by Eva or one of her fanatics. I backtracked to Paris. When I realized they were still on my heels, I sent the record to you in Bordeaux to prevent it from being stolen from me. And sure enough, my intuition was right. They tried to steal it that very night. I waited a few days for them to let their guard down. Then I took a train to Bordeaux, where I discovered that you were gone. I started to track you down, first Paris, then London. Each time I missed you by 1 or 2 days. There was a void, a sensation of drowning in the nothingness of the cosmos. It seemed to last an eternity or perhaps a second. I don't really know what happened. When I regained consciousness, I was here in Mykonos, with the record in my suitcase and the vague memory of the precise moment in the past when you had arranged to meet me in 4 years. What did you do after that? It took me some time to find my feet. I was at the other end of Europe. I tried to understand what had brought me here. Then I tried to find you, and that wasn't a mean feat from Mykonos with my limited finances. You got my postcard, I got your phone call, and now here we are. Right, now it's your turn to tell me. I've got a feeling that your adventures have been even more exciting. I take a deep breath, then I tell him everything from the beginning, all in one go. Bordeaux, Jean-Baptiste, who I hadn't thought of in months. The record, Paris, then London. Then Glasgow, listening to the record again. Arthur Pullman. Discovering Yu's death in the new reality. Prague. Finally, my new life. He listens carefully, without interrupting, as the sun descends little by little towards the sea, lengthening the shadows beneath the awning. Then I stop talking. Yu takes a minute to take on board all of this new information. So, I was dead and you brought me back to life by changing the past. Yes. I'm trying to say it while I'm drinking my water. Now I understand that sensation of emptiness which I had trouble shaking off when I woke here in Greece. By the way, you haven't told me why you asked me to meet here specifically. Wouldn't it have been simpler to meet in Athens or at least near an airport? You gives me a roguish smile. That's something I wanted to show you. Come on. He stands up, picks up his fat hiker's backpack, which leans against the table leg, and slips it on. Then he digs a few coins from his pockets and drops them on the table to pay for our drinks. We cross the village in silence to go down the road toward the coast. After several hundred yards, we reach the site of an archaeological dig. Past the excavation site has been covered with tarpaulins. Another part suggests the remains of an ancient temple, which would have been built here a few millennia ago. I immediately think of the manuscript that Daphne showed me. Could this be the site of the Coptic priest's pilgrimage, as described in the travel journal? Apparently, this site was only recently discovered. The dig has been halted because of budget cuts, and as we're quite a long way from the tourist zones, it would seem the authorities have already taken the trouble to close the area off to the public. Come on. Yu beckons me to follow him. We go around the excavation zone, then retrace our steps on the other side. Behind us, the sea sparkles below. The cat is still with us. From this point of view, we can see the front piece stones which have been unearthed, and which display some astonishing carvings. The right side is missing, but on the left side we can make out a kind of chimera, half woman, half eagle, which appears to guard the central part, which depicts a kind of music box, a shape almost anachronistic. Do you know that at the start in mythology the sirens weren't fish women, but birds with the torso and face of a woman? I turn to you, which means that he smiles at me. Yes. When you told me to flee 4 years ago, it would seem that I decided to go in search of the origins of the record, but not the origins of our plastic disc, the true origins, and it brought me here. This mysterious temple, which appears to pose a real puzzle to the archaeologists and historians who have studied its history, according to the information that I've been able to gather. It's a Gnostic temple. You looks at me, amazed. Yes, that's exactly what it is. How did you know? I did some research too. Or rather, someone did it for me, but you doesn't need to know that in detail. It is, in fact, the place of worship of a very ancient Gnostic sect, and our record is the result of the rediscovery of an ancient knowledge which would have first been found here. Are you familiar with the discography of Magma? No. No, doesn't ring a bell, sorry. They're a French rock band who had their 15 minutes of fame at the beginning of the 70s. Kind of in the same movement as Soft Machine in the Canterbury scene. Which I guess, with the music, that's both an arty and pretty crazy. Okay, but what's that got to do with us? I'm getting to it. Christian Vander, the drummer and the brains of the band, invented a language, Cobian, which most of their lyrics are written in. The goal of the language is to express emotions in a profoundly musical form. For example, if you stub your toe on the counter, you wouldn't say, ouch, I hurt myself, but instead you'd scream with pain. Okay, I see the idea, it's entertaining, but I still don't see what you're getting at. In this language, there's a particular term, Zool. I'm gonna say Zool. I raise a skeptical eyebrow. Zool? Yes, Zool. What Vader wanted to convey with the term is the idea of the perfect note at the perfect moment, a kind of musical ecstasy which allows us, human beings, to glimpse at an instant of the divine. Oh, Yu puts his backpack at his feet and opens it. He takes out a 7-inch record in a familiar white sleeve. He looks at it for a minute, his expression unreadable. Then he adds, I believe that this, the record, the music of the spheres, is the culmination of this quest for the absolute. He holds the record out to me. I take it. I've kept it safe until I found you again, Alice. It's out of the question for me to play it again. The record stole my life, our life. It stole the woman I love from me. Yu looks at me with a wild intensity. Oh. He takes off his glasses to wipe away the tear which trickles down his cheek. I know that you're not still her, the woman I love from the very depths of my heart, Alice. And I know that I'm probably not me either, the man I was when we were happy together. Yu puts his backpack down again and takes out a little travel record player. He puts it down next to his pack, then he pulls out a pair of headphones, which he places on the cover of the Tepes. It seemed appropriate to me that our story should finish in the place where the record story began. Yu turns toward the sea, towards the horizon. Do what you want, Alice. I put it in your hands. Then he takes a few steps away towards the coast below. I take the record from its sleeve and hold it between my hands, undecided. Bro, destroy that thing! I place the record on the ground, and with one thrust of my heel I shatter it. No divine justice strikes me down. Just the golden light of the sun settling over the Aegean. Yu has not turned back. He continues to look out to sea. Behind me, the lane leads back to the village, toward the city, toward my life. Before me, Yu. Perhaps the rebirth of a destiny in shreds, or at least the promise of something like it. I don't know, join him? Why not? I walk over to Yu and take his hand in mine. He looks at me and smiles. I smile back. Then my eyes are drawn to the open sea. And as I let the beauty of the world overwhelm me, my mind travels to the rhythm of a strange and intimate melody. Okay? Oh, Eddie Black. Did he make a record? Oh, title. Achievement unlocked. All along the watchtower. Achievement unlocked. Painted black. English pressing. Eclectic taste. High fidelity. Crossroads. Piano bar. They said the thing. They said the name. Mayfair Motor Club. Penny Lane. Full circle. Alright. That's it. That was only... Was that only about an hour? Yeah, I've only been playing for an hour. Huh. Okay then, so it's about a 5-hour game. I wonder how many achievements there are. What does all this mean? Mugged? Dang, I could have gotten mugged? Acid trip? Boy, what the... Okay, so I... Huh. Okay, I'm gonna look into what the symbols mean. Because I'm very curious about that. Because I was gonna look it up before, but I didn't want to get, like, possibly spoiled. I'm literally not seeing anything. Oh. I would kind of wonder about the other endings. Because I think I could die in one. I don't necessarily remember. Well, this took way shorter than I expected. Because I actually moved it an hour earlier. Because I was like, oh, well, what if this one is 2 hours as well? I guess it wasn't. Okay, well. I wonder what all that stuff means, though. A big heart and a black leather jacket. I'm guessing that's if we had actually, like, let Eddie Black catch up to us and listen to it. But nah, bro. I didn't trust that man. Okay. Escape. There was a tutorial? gamepad. I had no idea that there was a tutorial. Interface? Okay. Ding adventure. I just want to know what the freaking symbols mean. Yeah, the spiral, the lightning, the flower, and the skull, but like across the grid as you progress, the same. Yeah. But I'm just trying to figure out like, cause it didn't let. I'm supposed to be playing this on controller. Why I got a controller on that? I'm supposed to be playing this on controller? You telling me I could have plugged my stuff in? Oh. I'm not gonna bore nobody with the credits. Okay then. That's it. That was fire. I gotta be for real. That was a pretty fire game. Okay, I know y'all was dogging the art style in the beginning, but like it really wasn't that bad. Like I quite liked it. Even though the music, I mean, I know it's supposed to be like talking about what was going on in that memory, but it's like you could have made that rhyme. I don't know. You could have made that. The art's good. I won't lie. No, it's fairly good, especially that last little scene with all the purple and stuff. I like that. The it's just kind of like the music though. It don't like the instruments were good. It's just like the lyrics. I feel like they could have done a little bit more work on that. But like, it's an indie game. I'm not really judging them. They did the best they could with what they had, and it still ended up fairly good. How many endings are in this? Eight? There's 8 of them? Oh my god. What did they even talk about? There's 8. But now I'm kind of curious about like what the other endings contained. I'm trying to look it up, but there doesn't seem to be any like thing. Bro, I'm trying to can I get like a spark notes or something? Dang. Alright, bruh. I guess I'm just gonna have to look into it on my own time. But that's the game. Jazz hands. I don't know what to say about this. I wonder what's something else I can do. But I'm going to end this one. Roll the credits. Oh, this was a Unity game? Okay. Okay. No. I don't know what that is. Art. Okay. Code. Marketing and PR. Bordeaux Games. Novabox 2016 to 2020. Okay. Tis all. Go back into Streamlabs. But I really do wonder what the 8 other endings are. Oh my god. Streamlabs notifications. Okay. That is it. Bye bye. I think I might play another game Monday. Possibly. Because I was thinking of doing something. Like, I was thinking of taking a break and then doing something Sunday. But I think we have something. So I'm gonna have to go and check again. But it's going to be Monday at the latest that we're going to start the other game. And I'll probably have the waiting room up probably a couple minutes later. I don't know.